Hey, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ushanka Show Live. We are marking 97,000 subscribers today and getting close to 98. So I just decided I had a little free time. Wasn't sure what time I was available to do this. Let me see where we're at right now as we started going live. Yeah, we got about 200 more subscribers needed. We'll get to 98,000. So really close to 100,000. Very exciting. So we're just gonna wait till some people will join us from BS. We got some people joining from. I'm not sure where you guys from, but if you can post where you're from, be great. So anyway, I hope you had a good New Year celebration and Christmas. My New Year wasn't that great. On December 31st, so the last day of the year, I got a message from my brother from Kiev. I expected that message, but still, it was, of course, quite a shock. My father passed away, Nikolai Trofimovich. He was 77, and I was really hoping that he could cross into 2024, but unfortunately, his heart gave up. He was in poor health for a while, for a couple of months, taken to the doctors, and his heart was slowly giving up. And then, unfortunately, I couldn't come and see him. We talked on a computer. My kids came, his grandchildren, to say goodbye. So yeah, that's kind of. I lost my father-in-law a year prior, right on my birthday. So that was also kind of sad event. I woke up in the morning, I hear my wife crying next to me, and I was like, that's not a good start of the birthday. And turned out to be my father-in-law passed away. Well, he was 86. So, in America, people tend to live way longer. And my father was 77. He was born in 1946. So he's a Soviet baby boomer. So, yeah, so that's kind of how my New Year couldn't celebrate really. Had to talk to my brother and get these arrangements. My father wanted to be cremated, so he had to work through all that. And my father had a large family, like 9 brothers and sisters, but he was second youngest kid. So I think there's one sister left in the village. She's like in her late 80s. Otherwise, there's only one younger sister. So out of all the siblings, only 3 still alive. So, anyways, she came to help him out. So, yeah, that's what how the things turned out to be for a New Year's celebration. Of course, we couldn't celebrate. We still got together. My wife made some food. So, anyway, so this is what's going on in my family. As I said, lost my father-in-law last year, lost my father this year, and kind of sad thing. He didn't finish reading my book. My second book, American Diaries, 1996, that orange book. I have it in Russian version. And I sent the book for my mother to read to Kiev, and it kind of happened. My brother said, "Hey, we got your book box parcel, and I'll get some things together and send to my mom." I was like, "Well, while you're doing it, can you give my father, give our father to read the book?" So my father started reading my book, 1996, and he never finished because my mother just wanted to have that book right away. So I sent another book, and it was delayed, and unfortunately never made it. So, anyways, as I said, it's sad, but it was expected, and I'm really surprised that he lived that long. Unfortunately, my father, like many other Soviet blue collar workers, consumed a lot of alcohol all his life. That was one of the trouble with our family, that he was doing a lot of it and smoking, and he worked as a spray painter, with that aerosol spray paint. He was painting airplanes, then other equipment, trucks. So hell, he was coughing up paint long after he retired. So yeah, his health conditions wasn't great, but still he made it that far. He probably would live past 100 if he would be a healthy lifestyle. So it is what it is. Anyway, so if you guys have any questions, I'll be replying to your comments. And if you want to let me know where you came, where you guys from, it was always kind of cool to discover locations. So we got California here, Robert Geary. He just finished reading Black and Red and loved the book. Thank you. By the way, if any of you guys want to read that book in the want to buy it, its price has dropped now on Amazon, but it's still expensive. But I have 2 copies at home. So if you need it, just send me email. I will, if you just cover the shipping cost, I will send you my copies, because I have one of subscribers send his copy, said, hey, if anybody wants to read it, anyone who likes to have a paper copy, because online you can find actually there's an internet version, you can read it. So anyways, I'm glad you read the book. Argentina here. Hello, Federico. Thank you for your condolences. So yeah, it's kind of definitely threw a wrench in this whole thing. And I feel bad for my brother, because my mother out in the village, so he's on his own. I mean, he's grown man now, but still, it's a lot of stress to handle. But I don't know if you watched my videos about funerals in the Soviet Union. Recently, I made a long format video from my older videos. It used to be like people had to deal themselves, like literally. It was just doctor will show up, you call ambulance, skora pomoć, doctor will come to register the fact that the person died naturally, so he will inspect the body, but then it's all up to you. So, like, I remember when my grandfather passed away, and he lived in our apartment at that time. He moved from the village to spend the winter. I'm sorry, W's and V's. And I shared this story. He, for some reason, decided to have a small bottle of moonshine in his pocket, just to have a little sips. Maybe it was too much stress. The moonshine was leaking on his pocket, so the cabin of the truck filled with smell of alcohol. So the driver got angry, and he told my dad and grandpa to get in the back of the truck, and it was open truck. So, and it was November, so my grandpa sat like this for several hours in the open back of the truck, and he got really bad pneumonia. Or, anyways, so he passed away quickly after came into Kiev, and when he died, his body was in our several days. I can't think it, maybe not 7 days, but he was for 3 days. Maybe his body was on the table, living in one of the rooms. And in the end, you can kind of smell a little that sweet smell of decay, so which is kind of creepy. And then, of course, you arrange funeral, and then there'll be a special bus with the back, kind of in the back of the bus, there's a door to slide the coffin. So we had to deal with that. We have to. My mom had some women came and washed the body, dress him up. So all that was done. Now it's different. Ukraine is, in that regards, there is basically my brother called the morgue, and pretty much my dad passed away around noon. It just happened that his sister came to visit him with her daughter, so his niece. So they had conversation. I guess my dad kind of relaxed and passed away. So, and literally 4 hours, 3 hours later, people came from morgue and they got the body. And so there was, in that regards, was way easier, instead of trying to do it on your own. So now it's different. They have a funeral homes and all that. So anyway, got people from Norway. Thank you, everyone, for your condolences. I said I apologize. I talked to my wife, and I was like, should I tell you guys viewers that it's what happened? Because it's kind of like personal business. She said, yeah, you probably should. So this is what I'm sharing. I apologize. It's not kind of mood of New Year came in, and there's a Christmas. We got several people saying there's right now Russian Orthodox Christmas, although Ukraine, I believe they switched their date. Now it's a different date. Looks like one of my viewers' sister moved to Minnesota. I believe last time you were in Colorado. We got Slovenia here, Florida man, Bershegovka. So there's one of my viewers, actually, he lives in the same area. Well, I used to live in Kiev. I hope you guys doing okay there. So Yeah, not my mother. My father passed away. My mom's still alive, thank God. She lives in a village, got Florida. So what? Okay, so we got the Robert asking question. What did Soviets in the 80s think of getting West TV shows and seeing difference in standard of living? Um, I think in the late 80s, people kind of already started figuring out there's a giant gap because, when they talk about some story about poor unemployed American and then show him get in the car, and, now we have a, family of white collar workers, engineer and teacher who can afford the car in Soviet Union, and their unemployed people can afford the car. So there was always this kind of disconnect, like you're trying to figure out how it's possible to be poor in America if everyone can afford a car. So I don't think it was really like it was definitely affecting, but just all the shows, and they started showing music videos. It was just, I think the more was the shock is just how bright and colorful life was in America. Just to see Times Square and all the advertising, while we had pretty gray, boring, and depressing kind of lifestyle. Except we had a lot of propaganda posters about communism and the leading role of the Soviet Union. Question from sister Sergey: do you have any strong opinion or against Ronald Reagan? Well, originally I was excited when he became a president back in 1980, and I was 9 years old because it was a really tense moment. Cold War, Soviet Union attacked Afghanistan, moved the troops into Afghanistan, sanctions, embargoes. United States announced boycott of the Olympics, so that was really tense at that moment. And Carter lost, so I was actually excited. I mentioned that several times that Reagan became president. Because, well, I was excited because I heard the news on TV, of course. Now looking back, I obviously I don't. I think his image is way overblown. It's almost like for a lot of people on the right, it's Saint Reagan. Um, he basically came just right after, during the Carter era. They had a big inflation problem because of the Vietnam War and all the money that went on that. So they raised interest rates like crazy. So that kind of killed the economy. After that, its inflation was controlled, which I still don't understand, honestly, how raising rates kills the inflation. It's above my pay grade. So anyway, so now I'm looking back, and it's, he was a showman, and it's kind of somewhat reminds me of Zelensky in Ukraine. He was a professional actor, so a lot of his was professional acting. He always wanted, the lights to be done right, film them from the right angle. Okay, now you film me dancing with my wife. I kind of start reading into him a little bit, and I don't understand why the right likes him so much, because when he was a governor of California, he actually banned assault weapons. He did a lot. He signed a law that legalized abortion. So if you look from the right perspective, a lot of stuff he did was actually super liberal. But they decided that he was did a lot of great things for the United States. Although a lot of like AT&T was broken up, and there was other changes done was during Carter area. But of course, when you do that, the effects it takes time, so it might look like somebody else. So, anyways, so I don't have any strong feelings for the Reagan, but he definitely kind of, people think that he helped to destroy Soviet Union, like to make the empire collapsed. But it's kind of weird. He was doing one thing, saying one thing, but doing another thing. Like he announced the Soviet Union is evil empire, but then he canceled Carter's grain embargo and actually was pushing, uh, helping to sell more grain to Soviet Union. So it makes no sense. You call somebody evil empire, and then let's feed that evil empire, right? Makes no sense. But that was like, in this regards, he was like, okay, farmers want to make money, let them make money, evil empire, or not evil empire. And then, of course, that Iran Contras deal. He was involved. He dodged to be impeached, so he was pretty dirty in that regard. So so yeah, I don't have like any strong opinion, but I think he is not what people kind of calling him Saint Reagan. Okay, so yeah, as I said, I apologize. Thank you for all your condolences. I don't want to have it kind of on this sad mood, but and another unfortunate part, I moved away so long ago. I left Ukraine in 1998, and then I was coming, every 4 years, then every 2 years, and I mostly stayed with my mother in the village because I never liked Kiev. And it was, it's when you're far away, even with your relatives, you become more and more distant. So, like, when I'll visit my father in Kiev, he'll be calling me Artyom, like my brother's name is just he so gets used to be with Artyom, with my brother, that he will, call me his name. But, there are moments that kind of, he came, just he barely got 8 years of education. So he was like a really basic person in that regards. And I remember was one of my early memories. It's kind of sad memory that he sent a letter. He couldn't come to the village. It was delayed. So he wrote the letter, saying how much he missed us and he want to be with us. And that was third grade, I think. So I'm reading his letter and I noticing his misspelling. So it was kind of strange effect. Usually when you're a young kid, your parents, especially your father, is like God for you. And then I see my dad doesn't know how to spell. So that was kind of interesting feeling like, whoa. But there's a lot of good memories. I was kind of reflecting all these days after his passing, trying to remember everything that we did together. Mostly it's in the village. I had two fathers in Kiev. He didn't really participate, and that's a different lifestyle. In America, if you talk about okay relations between son and father, it's usually on the backyard, you throw baseball, you teach your kid how to fix a car. We never had all that. When you live in a large apartment building, I always had 10, 20 kids playing outside. So even if my father wanted to do something with me, most likely I'd say, I just want to go play with my friends. So the only time when actually we had this son-father relations, that's when we went to the village. Well, I went there all summer. He came only for 1 month for vacation, but he taught me how to fish. And he taught me tricks, how to find mushrooms, how to start the fire outside campfire was one match. There was like a pride moment, like how to build, the whole construction, a little paper, then little sticks, bigger sticks, and then use one match. So those memories like really cool. And I remember when I was teaching my son how to start the fire and explaining him that's extremely important to do it to only one match. First match should be the last match to start the fire, and it's kind of this generational connection with my father. Okay, I don't want to get I'll get right now emotional. So anyway, kind of sad, but it's just wasn't like car accident or Russian rocket, but yeah, it's sad. So next question was about childbirth in the Soviet Union. I have a video about it. And there's a Soviet childhood. I don't know if it will come up. It was different in regards that women were kept separate. Like usually, guys will be waiting outside the birth house. We call them родильный дом. So there's medical facility. There used to be just a separate building that all that they do is just they handle babies, births and the babies. And fathers will be waiting outside for the news, and then they'll bring to the window, show, hey, there's your baby. And of course we had a lot of jokes in that regards. So okay, I'll try to crack the joke when I started. So got a kid, and the father all excited, asking his wife, in the window, like, hey, can I see baby? They're like, no, they right now took them away. I explain in a second why. And he's like, well, uh, whom does the baby look like? And she's like, oh, you don't know him. So that's kind of that type of humor, because the women stayed in a room, like usually 6 women per room, and they bring kids to breastfeed, and then they'll take kids back, on the like push the cart, and each baby had a label. So hopefully I'm with my parents because I see how the kids could be swapped. I had a video about it. I'll look it up really quick for you. Birth. I only have a birth control, but not birth. Let me see if I have a medical service. I don't remember. It was a while back. Okay, maybe it's in the part 2, so I will provide the link right now in the comment section. So birth. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Well, sad that I was thinking about it like a little ahead. Not much father involvement in the city. School. He couldn't help me with school at all because he barely finished. The minimum education required. So my mom, was helping me if he needed help. Usually, I was nerdy, pretty smart kid, so I didn't need help with homework. She was just verifying that homework is done. I might sound cheesy, but if you don't mind to like this stream, maybe it will be more exposed, showed on the. We have like 100 people joined. So yeah, it's looking back, like yeah, it's my father would come from work usually. There's how we in Soviet Union or Russia, Ukraine. It's invitation to have a drink, and the same like if somebody like what is wrong with him, you just show yeah he's drunk. So my father usually would come home under influence and just sleeps. So but in the village, his buddies were away. He was away from alcohol, and that's when I had him for myself. And so that was good. That was good memories. Okay, we got Bismarck, North Dakota, Northern Ireland. We got just someone has just joined, became a member. It's one of the ways you can support my work is to become a member of my channel, and I post videos before, do a chance to have people have a preview and comment before it goes live. And also, I will be doing lives just for my members. So there's one of the way you can support my work is to become a member of this channel. So, so yeah, it's kind of sad note that my kind of year ended 2023. Besides, war in Ukraine and all that stress, every time there's a missiles flying, I talk to my brother, making sure they're okay. So yeah, and of course it was kind of hope to get to 100,000 by the before 2024, but it's YouTube is. I gonna make the next video just do a little review of all the most popular videos on my channel, how it did last year. And last February it went crazy for a while, and it looked like we'll be at 100,000 by midsummer, and then it just kind of tapered off and gone. So all right, we got more members joining. Hey, I recognize my second member. It's actually the girl from Finland. Trying to remember your name. I remember your picture. She's the one who did a lot of angry Karen comments about mean comments on my channel. Recently, I don't get any decent mean comments. It's kind of becoming a little bit boring. So yeah, it's yeah, Lisha, thank you for joining, and Patricia, thank you for joining too. I appreciated that. Yeah. So next question, once again from sister that a while back sent me delicious salom. Did you ever watch a miniseries, The Octopus? Yeah, it was another big. I don't remember if it's before or after collapse of Soviet Union. That's Italian mafia story, and it was forgot the name of the main actor, but yeah, that was huge. That was definitely good. Everyone was watching, and yeah, that was a big deal. There's another comment from Dmitry in Russian says, "Ты молодец, сделал, что хотел, получил, совершил американскую мечту." So he's saying that I achieved the American dream. Depend, of course, what you look at the American dream. A lot of people from former Soviet Union, they consider that you only achieve American dream when you become like a multi-billionaire and super rich and have drive fancy cars. And some people would comment, yeah, why would you move to America and you drive Prius? You could drive Prius in Ukraine. So yeah, that's a lot of um, kind of this attitude. But yeah, it's more to that than just money. But it's definitely helped to have a better income. And after 20 years in Soviet Union and see how my parents lived, and especially my grandparents out in the village, like they had to go and borrow a horse to plow their little plot. So before revolution, they had their own horses. 70 years later, or whatever, they had to borrow horses from collective farm to do exactly the same job. So, and I also have a donation from Shrimp God. Thank you so much. He says he loves my content. Thank you. I appreciate your donation. Hey, we got don't forget to like this stream, or maybe we'll get 100 likes. We got 100 people watching. uh And there is a comment says, you might saw the video of Russian missile hits high building explodes. It wasn't Bershegovka. Huh. My brother never told me that. But yeah, Bershegovka is like there's several South Bershegovka in other areas. And fortunately, we don't have any like factories around that could be, targets of Russian missiles. And then, of course, the guidance systems not that precise, and they hit them. So there's a comment from Alicia. That's the girl that did an awesome job on the voiceovers. So she says, "Nice to see you. I've been feeling really bad lately about the war, scared for Europe's future, and how Americans love Putin now." Well, there was a lot of Americans that loved Hitler. I mean, there was a fascist party in United States, and there was fascist party in Britain. It's unfortunately history tends to repeat itself. It goes in circles, or maybe it's a little bit of a spiral. It's really crazy what is going on, but yeah, if you start looking at, Putin back in 2007 announced what he's not happy with the world. Um, Setup with the single polar system that only America tells everyone what to do. And so in 2007, he already announced that he's not happy. And then the West reaction said, well, we were kind of disappointed. Okay. It's like we were disappointed that Hitler wanted to break the agreements after World War One, and then the disappointment ended up into World War Two. So anyway, I'm moving along. Do you know much about East Germany or recommend the book? I don't know about any books. There's some videos on YouTube about how they show how they assemble Trabant cars. I was in East Germany right after the wall collapsed, so like 92 or 93. So there's still remnants of the wall. During the Soviet Union, we didn't know much about them. It just there was some products. The only thing I remember about DDR, Deutsche Democratic Republic, where you could buy their soap, and they always had pretty girls' pictures. There was only soap that like you pick, not like, hey, go buy some German soap. You're like, I'll pick the prettiest. The pretty picture girl, although probably soap was the same, just different girls. I'm not sure. And then, of course, when I got into photography, there's the I'm pointing the wrong fingers. Shoot. Okay. So this camera Kiev 19, right? When I purchased it in 1988 when I became a student, and I was doing black and white photography. And then I got into slide film, and the best slide film was from East Germany. It was Orwo, ORWO. So that's kind of what I knew about East Germany. Otherwise, they didn't, people didn't travel much that time. And the only people who would spend a lot of time in East Germany will be soldiers, because if you end up serving in East Germany, then of course you were a lucky one. That was the best place probably to serve. And that's what Putin spent a lot of time when he was in KGB. So yep, I mentioned about Iran Contra affair. That was pretty it was discussed a lot in the Soviet Union. That is interesting. Like anytime something bad happens in America, we will read a lot about it in the Soviet newspapers. There was no discussion about what was going on in Soviet Union and Afghanistan and what the weapons were sold. But when everyone knew about Iran Contras, that was a big deal. So there's a Steven Jackson says, I have Auto Track book I bought from your website 2022. Thank you for buying my book. Loved it. Is the camera on the first page the same one as the left shoulder? Yes, it's actually. Oh, this is on mirror reflection. That was on purpose done. Yeah, so let's take a look really quick here. So yeah, this is my 1995 story, and that's when I came and I work as a photography specialist. So yeah, if you look, I was searching. So as you see, yes, it's exactly the same camera. Yep, and even the way Kiev says on it, it's a Russian way Kiev. That's exactly what my camera, because Svetlana from UK, she specifically was looking on eBay when she decided to buy me as a birthday present. So this model was a beautiful sound, was exactly the same year model as 1988. They have a serial numbers in the back. It's pretty much you can determine which year that camera was manufactured. So that's the camera in my 1996, which has turned out to be a little bit bigger. And this is me in 1996. And it's naturally bleached hair because I spent all summer on the beach. That one is just has my photo because I went to California, and that's my picture I took there. Unfortunately, my bodybuilding didn't take me as far as Arnold Schwarzenegger's, but I tried. I tried, and I found out actually that Hollywood it's like copyrighted thing. So I ended up changing Hollywood to hardwood, so I won't get sued for copyrights. So that's my second book. It's also available on Sputnikov.com if you guys want to buy, and I do the signed copies too. So yeah, thank you. I'm glad you like the book, and yes, that's the same camera. And the way I jumped from photography to lifeguard is that I asked. They had when you work in a summer camp in America, you're required to have a CPR training. How to save a life, and lifeguards had additional training. So one day they said, "Hey, everyone can just have nothing going on. We'll be teaching lifeguards, for them to get an American certificate to be a lifeguard. It's not enough if you can swim good. You need to be qualified officially, as a lifeguard." And I asked, like, "Hey, how much is that test?" And it's like, it does, camp pays for everything. And if you want to try to become a lifeguard, we can always use help, but it's pretty hard. So yeah, I did that. I managed to pass. I was the last one who arrived. Who had to swim to one land of the lake and back. I was the last person arrived, but I still got my certificate. So next summer, they said, "We want you to work as a lifeguard. We need more lifeguards." So it was way better job to be a lifeguard than to be a photography specialist, because I spent my first summer in the dark room developing film for kids and printing photos. It's 1995, black and white pictures. I don't know if you ever done the dark room. It's what brought me to America. They were looking for a photographer, and that's what said my resume said that I have my own dark room. So, do you remember the first time you saw the Central TV sign off national anthem in the 1980s? I believe they played at the end of broadcast every day. Well, not only on TV, they always played a national anthem 6 o'clock in the morning on the radio. And then they played at midnight in the end of the radio, because through we had the wired radios. I don't know if you guys saw my video. Pretty much every apartment, every house had a wired radio. So just have like a telephone line, but actually be a radio speaker. And every morning it will start with anthem, and then news, and then of course through the day, and then end of the at midnight, and then there'll be another anthem. And actually, my father used that as alarm. He'll have a radio turn on just loud enough because he needed to get up at 6 a.m. to go to work. So he will use his radio as alarm. You'll just hear the anthem. And I don't know how many of you learned that you don't want to put your favorite song as alarm because you'll start hating that song. I learned it hard way, when technology came on the smartphones. I started putting like, oh yeah, I like this music, I like this song, I'll pick it as alarm. And then in a month, I'll be like, oh, I hate this song because you have to get up. So I believe a lot of Soviet people who used the radio and national anthem as alarm hated that alarm because it's you have to get up and go to work. And I used a couple times that as an alarm in the village because I was afraid that my watch was going bad. That electric watch I had, cheap one. Anyway, so that's uh, and I didn't ever waited for TV to be till midnight, so I didn't experience sign off on the TV. But radio, I knew it for a long time. We got another donation. My always generous supporter Koala. Thank you so much. Happy New Year, Sergey. Which former Soviet republic outside of Ukraine do you wish to visit in the future? Do you also have thoughts about creating a channel about your travels to the US or abroad? Well, I think we can stick with this channel because Ushanka show it's a open title. It's not kind of restricting me to anything. Right now, I'm just working kind of on the timeline. Right now, we are in the mid late 80s, so perestroika time, glasnost. We're gonna dance around that campfire for a long time because there's so much to talk about it, and periodically look at the other topics. Like I still need to make a video about apteka, about drugstores, about divorces. I had somebody on Patreon requested that topic. And then we'll start going into the Soviet Union collapse. Then will be Ukraine, life in independent Ukraine, how we survived. So we'll just work through that. I don't see, opening a separate channel. Just a lot of logistics trying to remember which channel I'm on. I sometimes started live on the wrong channel. It happened that couple times before. So, and your question about which republics, like I wanted to see Lake Baikal. Of course, it's impossible now. I don't know if it will ever be possible, just because it's unique features. It's more about some, not about like which republic. It's just some interesting places. Like I would like to visit Georgia, like Caucasian mountains. Like I was already in Azerbaijan. I've been in Belarus several times. I mean, Belarus is pretty much kind of like boring as a Ukraine. It's pretty flat. I mean, Ukraine has Carpathian mountains, so it's a little bit interesting. And then, of course, Black Sea shores and Crimea. Crimea will be more interesting to explore again. Once again, it's impossible right now. I was in Riga, so that's Latvia. That was pretty cool. But yeah, those southern republics, we had an exchange student from Kyrgyzstan, so they asked me to come and visit them, and they live right on the lake Issyk-Kul, which is really interesting lake. It's up high in the mountains, and it's saltwater lake. I think it's the second deepest mountain lake in the world, and the biggest after Titicaca Lake in Peru. So it's probably I'll go eventually to Kyrgyzstan to visit family of my exchange student, Ajigit, and then maybe we'll visit area around. But otherwise, I don't have any specific republics that I'm interested to visit. I wish I traveled more when I was there during the Soviet days, but when I was too young, and at that time was no interest. So, but I appreciate your donation. Thank you so much. Almost 100 likes. We need 11 more likes, and then we'll hit 100. So next question from Serena Squadcast. Hey, Sergey, I really enjoyed the moonshine portion of your family video. Have you had any moonshine from here in the States? Yes, actually, I have a jar of moonshine sitting right now in my fridge. My stepdaughter gave me as a present, but this is crazy strong. It's like almost 100 proof, of 50%. It's in a jar. It's old. Oh, it's something old Smoky Mountain Moonshine or something like that. You can buy it now. And it's definitely, here they make moonshine from corn. My grandfather made it from dry apples. So that's what they will dry apples and pears, and then they use it as a part of mash after adding yeast. So here, of course, it's purified. Done, professionally. So if you want to try really nasty moonshine, it's the one made from beets, sugar beets, and of course it's unfiltered. It's kind of uh, like a grayish color. When you look through it, it's like gray, and that's the bad one. It gives you horrible headache because it's not doesn't have all those oils removed. But yeah, it's actually, speaking of my grandfather, it's probably one of the most interesting, like exciting memories of my grandfather. It's making moonshine together. That was cool because I knew it's illegal. I was pretty small, but I already knew. So it had that little danger edge, and I was in charge of maintaining temperature in the cooling barrel. When I have the coil, I'll stick my little finger, like, okay, and then I'll take some warm water out, pour some cold water in. So yeah, I was already like part of the process. So that was super exciting. Yeah, good memories there. Thank you so much, sister. She still thinks I'm still handsome guy. My haircut getting a little bit long and gray hair, but thank you so much. Appreciate it. Another donation. Thank you so much, Charles. Привет, товарищ. Do you plan to visit Ukraine before the war ends? The problem is, before war ends, is the challenge is logistics. Now there's no direct flights to Ukraine, so you have to fly to like Poland and then take a bus or a train, which is like 18 hours or longer. So it's a lot of time. And then if I want to visit my mother, I don't think I actually can get to her because her village literally about 20 kilometers, 15 kilometers from the border with Russia. So I think they have a special situation there. There's patrols on the roads, and I don't think they will let people get that close to the border, to the front line, which means like my mother will have to travel to Kiev to meet me. So I'm not sure. I would like to. I might consider that maybe this spring or in the fall. But of course, my family here concerned if anything happened, then breadwinner will be gone, so it's not a good thing. Um, okay, let's see what else we got next. Your next question. Will you be able to go to Ukraine for his funeral? Well, he was already cremated, so it's pretty much he wanted to be cremated, and so it's uh, I believe I need to check with my brother. Unfortunately, he's not really good and stay in touch. I have to constantly ask him. But I think my father is already cremated. So there was no funeral. He didn't want funerals. That was his wish a long time ago. He's just wanted to be cremated and then his ashes taken to his home village in Zhytomyr region. So yeah, we kind of talked with my brother about it when my dad was kind of declining. That we discussed all that situation. So he knew. So I just paid the expenses pretty much for the funeral, for the not the funeral, but yeah, for the cremation. There's a comment about, I remember you said the lady who had an abortion had to clean up the night before. Well, not sure what you're asking, but the abortions was a huge thing in that regards in the Soviet Union, which brings me, there's the book, I think I did a post about it. There's lady professor in Pennsylvania wrote the book why women had a better orgasm or better sex during under socialism. uh, anyway, and I don't know if she ever bothered to check statistics. In average, every Soviet woman had at least 5 abortions, if not more. And a lot of it was, of course, cultural thing that the men just considered, they just have fun, and then it's up to women to deal with the consequences. And because of the bad housing situation, if you live in one small room and you already have a kid or two, you don't have room to have more kids, so you go for abortion. And of course, I already made a video about Soviet condoms. They used talc, dry powder. So yeah, the quality was really bad, and of course, guys didn't like to use them because they're not comfortable. So the whole idea of promoting socialism, because once we have a socialism, all the women will have a better sex life or better orgasms. Better sex is just ridiculous. It was a funny thing. Have you ever read Dostoevsky, like in Russian? Have you any opinion of him? I was forced to read Dostoevsky, "Преступление и наказание," so Crime and Punishment. It was required read in the Soviet high school. I didn't read the whole book. I just read enough to pass the grade. I found it horrible, depressing, extremely long. A lot of this literature they made us to read in the Soviet schools, like in the high school, is just way. It's too early. Like your brain you're not ready for those books, especially Dostoevsky. Like it was a hard read. I struggled, and I was out of the better studying kids. But fortunately, we had so-called Christomatia. I don't know how to translate it. It's like it's another book that gives you a review of all the book you're supposed to read, so you can actually read that and kind of get a general idea what is the book is about, and then you can just kind of quickly skim through the pages to be ready to score to get a good grade, because for me it was important to have a good grade. We got Brooklyn here, we got Buffalo, we have Louisiana. I spent 1 month in Louisiana. Croatia. We got some Rishki Balsam that I would like to ban him if he does anything else besides. See what else next. There's the comments again about my father. Thank you so much for your condolences from Vermont. Says, I can only imagine how proud you are to be his son. Uh, Definitely, I cannot. It is what it is. That was the system. That was that lifestyle. He came from the small village with nothing. He managed to get, family going. A lot of it my mom had to deal with. But the first situation, I think, it's basically, I guess, it's your reflection as a parent is your kids. If your children did all right, then it's you did your job as father. A lot of what I achieved, it's maybe it was like I look at my dad and like, okay, I won't be drinking in my life and I won't be smoking. It's actually, and then I had my buddies, all nerds. We promised each other when we were maybe still like 12 or 13, like, okay, let's make a promise. We'll never drink and we will never smoke. And then a little bit later, when we turned like 15, 16, we're like, let's do amendment or to our promise to our constitution. We'll do a first amendment. We can drink, but we won't smoke. So we betrayed our promise. But still, after seeing my dad being drunk so many times, but he was an aggressive drinker, so that was kind of fortunate. He will get sleepy. He comes from work, with his buddies, they'll have some drinks, and he just lays on the couch and falls asleep while watching TV. There's some guys who actually get aggressive, and that can be trouble. So yeah, I just recently found your channel and I've been binge watching all your content. Thank you so much. If you binge watching my content, I call those people shakhter miners. I'm planning to talk about my next video. So unfortunately, most people who find my channel, there's so much out there, right? It's so saturated with content. So not many people bother to like actually dive. I call them miners, go down the mine and do Minecraft of Ushanka show, just start watching from first video and process, all the videos, which is about 900. I couldn't believe it, but I made about 900 videos so far. Most people, I call them poplavki. So that's floaters. Like when you fish with a floater, you find the channel, you just stay on the surface and you just watch the videos that coming out, and you don't really bother to go down and explore what's out there. But it's okay, either way. Sometimes people ask question. All I have to do is just to post a link to the video, like, hey, this is already covered. Somebody just asked me recently, what was a request? Can you talk about? I remember what is it, and I was like, yeah, I already have a video. Just there's the link. I covered the topic already. So yeah, if you binge watch, and I have some people, I like to see comments coming up. Like I can trace the progress. There's a comment comes up. Oh, I just finished this video. Awesome. So you see the person is working through, playlist after playlist and catching up with everything. So it's kind of interesting to see the progress. Question: are you planning to make video about submarine S-363 that ran aground in the Swedish waters in 1981? Not right now. I'm covering mostly like everyday life. If we will be maybe be plenty of requests, maybe you can look at that option. I don't recall that event, and it was probably nothing in the Soviet news about that time. But I'm planning to start covering all these different like incidents and accidents that occurred in the Soviet Union. But of course, we never heard of them. So there were some bad accidents happening, but that West would know about it, but we would never know. Oh yeah, Mikel Placido, he became famous. Yeah, at that time was young, big chin. I remember square chin. Yeah, he was a good policeman. I just watched with my wife a movie with Denzel Washington last night. That last of his whatever number three. Keep on forgetting the name. That was about Italy. That was pretty good. I think the American dream is reached when immigrant's child goes to college. It's almost like it's when the child actually gets the degree that it goes into get some important job in a corporation or a government. Then it definitely know, because now a lot of the colleges is just it's not about they take anybody who has money. Uh, so Patricia, the new member, said she lived in Kiev for 4 years on Prospect Перемоги. Well, it has different name now, that Prospect, and he lived kind of in the center, in downtown. We got Virginia here. People remember packaging of the soaps. Yeah, I'm planning to make. That was another thing about Eastern Germany. They were more, hate to say, on the sexy side, because a lot of people who served in the military in Germany, they'll bring these stickers, переводные картинки. Wasn't really a sticker. You have to put that thing in the warm water, and then it will unglue from the paper, and then you can stick it to people like did guitars with those pretty German girls, or on the back of their cars on the windshield and the back. So that was a popular German thing, is the cute German girls. That was another item besides their soap covers. Yes, my camera is Kiev 19. Yep, that's the one. Let's see what else. I have Fed 2. I have, I think, also Fed 2, but it's made into the. I think I showed a while back. I cannot show you right now, but it's made. It was old camera, so they attached the bulbs. So it made like a light. Yeah, and the camera made in Kiev. I don't recall Billy Joel's video Leningrad. It probably was out there. Um, don't remember. The only movie I remember movie about Leningrad is Van Kilmer, right? The guy that has a right now problem with his throat. He has cancer. He had movie The Priest or something like that. I think it was going on in Leningrad. That was a pretty good show. So the question: have you ever seen movie Brother? Of course, everyone's seen that movie, and then Brat 2. And my attitude towards that movie changed over the years. It's actually a lot. It's one of the favorite movies of Putin. Is Brat, and Brat 2 has a lot of hate to the other nationalities, and that you just deal with everything with killing people. It's basically I don't know if it's a question to me, but yeah, it's a good movie to watch, but it's that angle how it shows, and then of course the brat too. It's he comes to America, so if you guys never seen the movie, I would recommend to watch it. Let me see, it'll be reflection right now. Let's see. And maybe even have English subtitles. It's quite possible. All right. There's the videos. Then, of course, why the movie became cult. It has 71 million views. Wow. All right. So there's a movie Brat coming up. Let me see if I can get you Brat 2. Yep. There's Brat 2, 36 million views. And it brought to, like I said, there's also references to like Ukrainian nationalism there. It's so packed with the standard like this great Russian stereotypes. The Russians are always win because they are on the right side of the truth. Sila в правде, brat, and all that expressions. Yeah. So okay, so we got another one. So I gave you links for both movies. If you guys want to watch it, that'll be interesting to see. What do you think about it? But back then, when it was come out, I enjoyed it immensely. There's a lot. I used to like Putin too. I made a video about it. So it's things are changing a lot. Question: is your brother safe in Ukraine? Relatively safe. He lives in Kiev, works in Kiev. Um, I guess you could say it's somewhat fortunate for now that he was. Due to his health conditions, he never served in military, so they're not interested in him yet. So it's anyway, but yeah, it's no one is safe in Ukraine right now because they can launch the missiles all the way to the western Ukraine. So it's basically just a question of luck. Great question from Comrade John. Do you miss the USSR? I do not miss the USSR. I miss some events. I miss my parents when they were young, and my friends, and my kind of childhood, which I thought was great. But I don't really miss USSR. Like my lifestyle got way better after moving to America. Of course, it required a lot of hard work. I never worked as hard as I work in America, but I see results. It's uh, Soviet Union was a comfortable place to be poor. In America is not comfortable place to be poor. So, all right, let's see. We got another donation from Steven. Thank you so much. I tried to make hearing under fur coat that your wife makes you. Mine didn't turn out. I might not like it. Can you post her recipe? I think I might have a video on that. Let's see. Let me check here. Basically, okay, so I don't have that. There's a plenty of recipes. I'll post it right now. If you don't like fishy fish, and that I know sounds silly, but that's what my wife told me. She's an American, that like a pickled herring, it tastes too fishy. So if you don't like fishy fish, you might enjoy that salad more if you don't have selodka, if you don't have fish. And it's actually looks like they have recipes Okay, there's some Dядя Vanya has a classical recipe, so I'll post you this one. And of course, you need to keep in mind a lot of it is just boiled stuff. It's boiled beets, boiled potatoes, boiled eggs. Uh, uh, so it's not kind of healthy, fresh vegetables or fresh fruits. Okay. Shuba salad. So this is the one I was hearing. And there was one says без селедки. Let me get you salad shuba. Let me see. So there is без селедки. Let's see what they recommend not to have. So this is the one hearing free. Maybe I can try with my wife because I said when they make it for the new year, I just finish eating. So it's the hearing free shuba salad. Okay, so we got two for you guys, so you can look it up. Said if you don't like, and you need to have vodka with it. This, I'm disappointed you didn't like it. I said if you didn't like the fish, and what I like to do with that salad, I'll actually mix it up. It's because it's a layered salad, but I think it tastes the best when you mix everything up. Like that's what I do after it sits for a couple of days in the fridge. Kind of then mix it out because you got mayo on the top, and I want that mayo to be everywhere. That's my favorite. Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in the movies Brat, I posted the link for both Brat 1 and Brat 2. You might like Brat 2 better because it shows him coming to the United States and he's in New York, and then he goes to Detroit, I think, and he actually hitchhikes so it's pretty cool. Another donation from Animal 16365. What is your favorite American food? I really like mac and cheese. Mac and cheese, when I discovered it in America, I really like that. I like coleslaw salad. We never had that. I like that one a lot. I'll tell you something strange, but I don't like steaks. Still don't like steaks. I would prefer cheap hot dog over steak. But that's kind of my heritage of Soviet Union because we didn't have they didn't raise beef for meat. It's only was usually like old milk cows that you'll buy that beef, and of course that meat was rough, kind of hard, so those you couldn't get good uh, steak out of it. So what else? American food. I'm not a snack guy. It's one thing is like I don't snack, so like chips I might eat some, but like I will never snack. I try to eat for breakfast. I started liking cereal, and we never had cold cereals with milk. I like Raisin Bran. I discovered Raisin Bran. I liked it a lot, and I was lucky that in uh, the camp I worked with, it was camp for inner city kids from Chicago. So it was, sponsored by government. It was a USDA, all that. That's my first story when I came, and pretty much every kid was from Southside Chicago. So the food was, they had like a government would provide $5 per person per day for each meal for a kid or adult who is in the camp. So it wasn't much food. But fortunately, when they have those single container of cereal, from Kellogg, kids will snatch all Fruity Loops, Choco, whatever, and then no one would touch Raisin Bran. So I was fortunate I could eat several of those because kids hated those. So I like Raisin Bran. Uh, trying to think what else. I still like a lot of soups, but American soups, it has to have potatoes. Like my wife will make tomato soup with rice. It's okay, but it just I like to have potatoes, just a habit. Can't think of anything else really that American food. I don't. I was really curious when I work at the once again after camp. I worked a little bit at the farm, and I discovered American Sunday papers and the comics inserts, and I really like the Garfield comics. And if you remember Garfield, they have I always like lasagna, so that was like mystery. What the hell is lasagna? So I was really excited to try lasagna. So when I finally had a chance, I was so disappointed. I don't like red sauce apparently. I love tomato juice. Oh, another American food I like. It's not really food. I love V8. I always liked tomato juice. So when I discovered V8 in America, I was like, holy crap, this is even better. Then I discovered Bloody Mary. Even without vodka, I just drink like a juice. I like it. I like it when it's thick and has a lot of stuff into it. So yeah, let's see. We had another donation I need to address. There was something about disco. Let me see really quick here. Because we might do another 10 minutes and we'll be wrapping up. Oh, we got Estonia join us. Let me see where yet. Okay, Robert Geary right here. Uh, do you have a Discord to ask questions about USSR? I do not have. I even don't know what Discord is. But pretty much you can always try, if you post questions on under any of my videos or on my community page on YouTube, I usually make a list of something interesting. I will make a video about it. But I have a long list. I have a long list of still videos I need to make. So yeah. Another question that I'm planning to make a video: what the Soviets think after Miracle on Ice. It looked like a hiccup. It's just unexpected loss, and I'm planning to make video about it. I finally found a Soviet era sports newspaper, and right at that time it was Olympics coverage of the whole games, and then suddenly coverage just dropped off when they should talk about that game. They just kind of put a little tiny mark like, yeah, we lost. So it was looking as a hiccup, and of course it was kind of one of the ways the mass media, some news they don't want to talk about, you kind of like push it under the rug, and that's what was done with we never call it, oh look, American Miracle Nice happened. Of course it never. It was just a little Soviet hiccup. There's an interesting comment from Wolf Spirit. After watching about 100 of your videos, I can say Poland used to be almost 100% exactly the same as the core Soviet countries. It's not even funny. This is what happens when you take a Soviet pattern and you slam it on another country, and that's not surprisingly. Shortage of food, long lines. Yeah, it's you get. It's you cannot expect different results when you do the exactly same thing. It's not about really people. It's just people are the same everywhere. It's what you do to people; they react specific ways. If they're not interested to work hard, if they don't get incentivized with money, they won't work hard because they'll just produce the minimum required. What are your thoughts on Putin's New Year speech? I didn't watch his speech. I didn't watch Zelensky's speech either. I just saw some people commenting that there was a different mood because previous year, 2023, he when previous year speech he had all this military people behind all that stuff, and now it's he never mentioned special and military operation a single time. So definitely was different, but yeah, I even wasn't interested to watch. So I need to find out what the score is about. We'll talk about Miracle Nice. Great question. What were malls and movie theaters like in the USSR? I love your question about malls. Malls, it's easy question. We had no malls, but I do have movies. I made a video about that movie. Let's see. have a video called "What Was the Soviet Movie Theater Experience Like?" So I'll give you the link and you can watch it. It's get your link right here. Soviet movie theater. I think it was spelled right, maybe not. So yeah, we had no malls. We had only like looks like department stores, large department stores built in the like early 70s. Like we had, they call them Univermag. So it's like Universal Magazine, Universal Magazine. But there was no malls, and I just posted the link if you want to watch about movies. Alex is asking, do you plan to make videos about Soviet serial killers? I only know one is Chikatilo, and I always recommend to watch the movie Citizen X. And I'm not sure if it's on YouTube or not. I watched the movie and I was really impressed. It's pretty much shows. But of course, during the Soviet days, no one knew about it. Yeah, on YouTube you can buy it or rent it, but it's called Citizen X. I'll post the link, but I said YouTube. If you have YouTube, not sure. It's 1995 movie, but I was impressed. They actually filmed it, a lot of it in the Soviet Union because they have a cars and everything. It was done really well. So yeah, it's if you're interested in that topic, or you can find on other options or whatever you can find it. It's called Citizen X. I was impressed. It was done really well. And it's quite possible, if I'll make one of those videos, I'll probably won't try even to turn monetization because it will be chopped off right away. YouTube is going hardcore after anything that can hurt people's feelings. There's a whole list of, sensitive topics and so much. They're trying to protect Soviet people a lot. There's the statement, a lot of Russian Ukrainian women lost their virginity around 13. I neither can confirm nor deny those allegations. It depends on the women. Uh, like my mother generation, so baby boomers, even they weren't religious, it was a big deal to stay virgin till marriage because otherwise you were considered a slut. My generation, as I said, I'd never been female, even in Soviet Union, so I cannot tell you. And I wasn't asking questions, girls in my class when they lost their virginity. I would say more likely 15 and up. Although I dated one girl that she pretty much told me kind of like, we can have fun in the bedroom after you marry me, and I respected that. You know attitude, but I wasn't planning to marry her, so we had to break up. But usually, I think eighth grade, so yeah, 15-ish, 16-ish, that will start going there. But uh, the question about cost of moped Riga at your time in Soviet Union, probably 150, maybe 200 rubles. I'm not sure. The only moped I'm familiar with was Verkhovina. My grandfather had it, and I think he paid 175 rubles for that one. Planning to make videos about scooters and mopeds. So that's have you read anything by Maxim Gorky? Once again, I had to do it because of school. I would never spend my time as a teenager reading his stuff. Maybe now will be interesting, but yeah, it was a part of a school program too. We got Matthew 85 from UK. I'm glad you're still awake. I just tuned in to say how I'm sorry to hear about loss of your father. Thank you. I hope your mother and your brother are still safe and coping with loss. Well, it's sad to say, but my mother, after they got divorced and she moved out, she at some point just kind of they start, let's say politely, didn't like not liking each other for a while. It just It's one of those things. My mom was like considering she made a really bad decision marrying my dad, blah blah blah. But of course, if she will marry my dad, then I will be something else. It's kind of we go there. So yeah, I don't think she was really upset. At least she never cried or nothing over the phone when my brother told her. He even like I asked him, "Did you tell mom?" And he's like, "No, I'm waiting for her to call me because she doesn't know how to text with her smartphone." So she usually calls him once a week to just kind of confirm that she's doing okay. And when said, "Yeah," she just paused and she said, "Well, I'm coming in the spring to help you remodel the apartment." So not even like thought about coming for the funeral or cremation. It's one of those family things. So yeah, they kind of became bitter. I think it's the English word. They became really bitter towards each other because my father felt like he was betrayed by my mother because she moved out and didn't take care of him. So it's one of those things. We got Vermont, we got Latvia. So yeah, we got people all over the place. There's a comment about condoms. Condom thing is not unique to Soviets, really. In my experience with Gen X's and all, they don't like them things as well. Well, we had this expression that using a condom, have sex on a condom, it's like sniffing flowers wearing a gas mask or taking a shower while you're wearing a suit. You still do the job, it's just a different feeling. But once you try Soviet condom, you probably be totally cool with American lubricated condoms. Like I have a video about it. We had Indian condoms, and those people will resell for like 3 rubles a piece, a pop, which is a lot of money. You can buy a lot of bread. You can buy a bottle of vodka for price of one condom. And some people actually reuse them. They literally wash condoms to use them again because it was way better quality. It's thin and all that stuff. So they can kind of tell you situations. So okay, several people finally caught up with live. So I'm glad you guys finally caught me. Let's see. People like videos about soda machines. What was your biggest culture shock when you came to America? So yeah, if you read my books, it's pretty much I talk about the whole thing. It's There was a lot of different. I mean, food wise, I was just shocked to see that people were dipping chicken into honey. But of course, I was in the inner city camp, and then they were putting salt on the watermelon. So that was shocking. The people were constantly smiling for no reason, and I got in trouble because I wasn't smiling. They actually reported me to camp director because they thought I'm like really unfriendly. That I look at people like I want to kill them. So also kind of discovered how great it is to have a car because how fast you can move around visiting places. People Another culture shock was let's see, it's my watch. I don't know how many of you can say what time it is. It's I had people tell me my watch was broken because they said there's no 1700s out there, and I was like, at first I horrified because I just bought brand new watch Timex, and a guy told me your watch is broken. So the fact that people call this time military time, and they most people didn't know how to know that it's actually 5:24. So that was pretty interesting. So there's a lot. I said if you're interested, you can buy my book. That was definitely uh, quite shocked. And then, of course, food wise, again, you guys don't eat soup or borscht every lunch. I grew up doing that. So, yeah. Top three hottest Soviet women. We even didn't have that kind of idea of hot women. Most our, it's probably movie stars because our singers, oh no, singers, okay. I really like a girl called Anna Veskia. Let's see if we can find her. Out of singers, I think although I usually prefer dark hair girls, this is her video from 1984. My goodness. She's a classic Baltic states look. Let's see. I thought she was really pretty. I can't really think of any like movie girls that. I think one movie was the Operatsia. He was the shooting guy that looks. When I was young, I looked like him a lot. I can't think the name. But Anna Veske for the singers, I think she was the prettiest. Lima Vaikula wasn't too bad either. Let me see her when she was young. Oh, look, Lima Vaikula. Look at that. She comes up right away. She still makes videos. Oh, she looked rough here 7 years ago. She looked better 15 years ago than 7 years ago. I shouldn't say that, but I did. Okay, Lima. Okay, the only movie actress, I think she was also from the Baltics. Man, it's crazy. Like I guess I had a weak spot for the girls from Baltic states. I didn't realize that. So there was a movie based on American story. The movie was called Mirage. I cannot think something Chase. Mirage film. Look at that. So I'll give you the link. So the girls in this movie, James Chase, there you go. He wrote the book. So this is a Russian Rижская киностудия, so Riga movie studio made this TV series, and that's about America. Although they use Niva car to make it like a bank car. So I would recommend this, as you will see how the Soviets portrayed United States. So that's the actress there. No, man, like I think I was way too young. So 83, I was only 12 at that time. I wasn't into girls yet, so I didn't realize that she was really pretty. But anyways, there's the links to Anna Veske, Lima Vaikulea, and the Mirage movie. They actually made fake American TV commercials, like they in Russian language, and we were digging that stuff, and I never realized that they made it up. That was hilarious part. Another question. Looks like somebody is following Russian events quite closely. What did you make of the naked party? I don't know if any of you are aware. Like, actually, we have a unique situation. We have more likes than people watching channel. That's pretty interesting. So the naked party. I don't know if it makes sense to make the video about it. So anyway, you know, when the Soviet Union collapsed, and we have capitalism, of course, show business became a bigger part of the culture, and singers, performers, whatever, became rich. Now we got, the whole. I don't follow those people, but there was a party, and it was kind of like invitation or a closed party, and it was like a Russian elite get there, and the party was called naked party, kind of. So you should bring, like, you should dress minimally. So one guy, some rapper, I think, he thought he will make it really cool. He was only wearing a sock on his penis, and that's pretty much. And the girls, of course, had the minimal dresses, all that. um, Same with guys, and pictures and videos leaked, and Soviet government, they act like Soviet government now. Putin, they pretty much now, the lady that organized the party, suddenly she has problems with tax authorities. So tax authority discovered she didn't pay taxes. A bunch of these guys had to apologize, because now we are right now the country in a rough spot. We can't say we have war, but we have something going on in Ukraine, and it's not really cool that we were partying, half naked. And this girl that now has problem with tax authorities, she was showing off. She had some kind of necklace on her waist and on her butt crack that was worth like $15,000, 23 million rubles. And she's like, "You want to see how the 23 million rubles look at my ass?" So, it's just spoiled rich, these influencers, whatever. So, Putin government decided to make an example that this is not a cool thing to do when our country struggles. So they are really making a bunch of people cry like little bitches. I shouldn't say that, and stuff like that. But it's people's right. They, you pay, let them make this crazy money. They want to burn it. The expectation, of course, you should go and perform, do the concert, on the front for the soldiers instead of you're here spoiled. So yeah, all right. Was there any programs like Alcohol Anonymous in Russia? I don't think so. People were just drinking. There was probably some, well, there were places when they pick you up drunk and they take you to Vitrizvitel and they charge you a lot of money. And over there, they will like wash you with cold water and they have like a bunk bed that they toss you in. So that was Vitrizvitel, but it was punishing you for being drunk. And as you know, like it's people really couldn't make it home, and if you lay on the street, they'll pick you up. Let's see. We'll talk about hot girls, naked party. All right, we'll do about 5 more minutes, hour and a half, and I'll be wrapping up, guys. Can I get a shout out? Okay, Sports Prod gets a shout out, whatever that means. Do you have any knowledge of the two cities in Norway, Pyramida and Barentsburg? Well, I don't. If you're talking about Spitsbergen Island, that considers like joint territory with Norway, it sounds like it's there. There is a great question: Coke or Pepsi? I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but if you give me Coke and you give me Pepsi, I won't tell you the difference. I grew up on Pepsi in the Soviet Union. That was the only foreign soda available. So otherwise, I prefer like Sprite style drinks, like not Mountain Dew. It's too sweet. I don't drink pop much, but Sierra Mist, Sprite. That's what I usually prefer if I have to drink. So I got brought movies out. I showed you. What do you think about Russia looking to recruit foreign mercenaries? They're not looking. They're already recruiting. There was people from Nepal came already. I think there's some people from South or Central America. So it's already going on. Well, Putin is getting desperate. Gets to the stage. Unfortunately, it's when Russia cannot win and Ukraine won't give up. So this is kind of like this in chess. There's a term for it, patовая ситуация. So Russia can afford, to keep it going for way longer. Because people in Russia, I mean, it's happened over and over before. War with Japan in 1904, 1905, Crimean War of 1865. There's several times when Russia started these small wars, end up in big trouble, and this is another case. I believe and I hope that after this war is over, there will be no more Russian Federation as we know it. It will break into smaller republics. There will be, Chechen Republic, separate country, Dagestan, separate republic, Far East, who knows what's going on there with China, wanted back their territories. But I think Putin made a huge mistake. He, just like Afghanistan, when Russian Soviet troops pulled Afghanistan in 87 or 80, even later, couple of years, or maybe even 89, couple of later, Soviet Union was gone. I believe there'll be the same thing because, all those people will come home and they'll be wondering why they were dying and spilling blood. And so, yeah, there was a big miscalculations, but it's what happens when you became a dictator and you only accept good news, people will tell you what you want to hear, not what the actual situation. And I wish the West will help more to Ukraine, but I was telling my Ukrainian friends, be thankful for what's coming. They don't have to help you. Europe, like Baltic states, they know what's going on. They quietly helping a lot, but Ukraine doesn't have a lot of natural resources to actually financially be in interest of helping. But the fact is, if Putin will be successful in Ukraine, Moldova will be next, then Baltic states will be next. It's just he would be on the roll, but I think it's what is going to stop. Okay. Do you think Ukraine will adopt the euro between 2025? I really doubt, and the war probably will last till 2025. And I think a lot of Ukrainians, I'm not sure, I can't predict anything. They kind of got sour on the whole concept of becoming a part of the European Union. The way the European Union responded to Russian aggression, I mean, they just, they're trying to help Ukraine, but not piss off Putin. You can't, if as I say, you're trying to have one ass on two chairs, and you can't do it. You're gonna fall between. You need to make a firm decision that we need to be done with Russia. We need to forget about their cheap gas and oil, and we need to find other solutions. So, moving along. So, this comment from Federica from Argentina. What an amazing definition. In the USSR was comfortable to be poor. In the States is not comfortable. It's basically, people asking questions. Do you like USSR? Why are you complaining about USSR? It's kind of made me think myself, reflect on that part, because I was 20 in 1991 when Soviet Union collapsed. So most of my life I didn't notice the bad parts. My parents took care of me. I always had food on my table. I didn't have a lot. The one of the brightest moments of my childhood. Let's see if we can do 150 likes. Boom, look at that. You guys read my mind. Just click. Like, my best memory of my childhood is getting a box of bananas from my parents for my birthday. They sent the parcel to the village. So they stood in line and bought bananas, which was like really big deficit, really expensive. I think it was like 1 ruble 30 kopecks per kilogram. I did the comparison in one video. Picture paying $50 per pound in America. This is what my parents paid for bananas to send me for my birthday. And that moment of carrying that box, I still remember, because we got caught by the rain. I think I kind of discussed that story, described it, and I have a video about it. If you missed it, I'll give you the link. Um, so my childhood, one of my best memories is getting 10 pounds of bananas. Think you bring your kid 10 pounds of bananas, and you wait and like wait, and he's like, what? I want to see your emotions. I gave you this 10 pounds of bananas. And the kid will think you're crazy, right? For me, that was like the best present I could get. So, uh, it's just you're happy with such a little things. And there's another definition. It's not my words, I discovered. The biggest change it became after Soviet Union was gone is inflation of happiness. In the Soviet Union, people could get happy with so little because we had nothing. So just to get in my case, bananas. In my mom's case, if she managed to get a nice pair of winter boots, they'll be like, ta-da, for years, because they were super expensive and were near impossible to get. So this is what kind of was going on. So yeah, and because housing was subsidized, we never bothered. When a pair of boots, winter boots, nice boots, cost you 150 rubles and your apartment costs you 10 rubles a month. So this whole disparity difference is just, yeah, it was, you never worried about your housing cost. you had to save money to buy a pair of winter boots. So the whole thing is upside down. When the waitresses were one of the richest people in the country, and taxi drivers. And in America, it's opposite way. If you wait in tables in America, usually you're poor. So yeah, that's what kind of come up with this expression that it was comfortable to be poor in the Soviet Union. And if you couldn't figure out how to do better in modern day Russia, Ukraine, then of course you're gonna miss those days when you were comfortable. You're still poor, but now you're not comfortable being poor. But I know a lot of people who did well, even in Ukraine and Russia. Oh, we jumped. Okay. Let's see what else. Make sure I didn't miss your comments. So we talk about Shuba. There's a comment about Mexican takeaway is the best American food. I had a really bad experience with Mexican food in camp, especially this nacho chips and cheese and meat poured over it. It was so disgusting. I literally asked people, don't put any chips, don't do any cheese, just give me protein, just give me meat. I'll choke on that. And after that, I just don't like Mexican food. So Mexican food didn't impress me at all. So, well, all right, guys. So 1 hour 36 minutes. If I missed any of your questions, I'll try to go through your comments, or maybe you can come back and post it in the comments below this live. But I'll need to wrap it up. I'm losing my throat. What was the relationship? Okay, last question, Dylan, and I'll be wrapping up. What was the relationship between USSR and Japan? Technically, Soviet Union and Japan were always at war after 1945 because Soviet Union broke the agreement and attacked Japan, although they had a mutual agreement about not attacking each other. So Stalin broke that, attacked Japan, occupied Japanese territories, South Kuril Islands, as we call them, and Japanese call them Northern Territories. For all those years, technically Japan and Soviet Union were still at the stage of war, and it's still going on with Russia. Russia refuses to turn those territories. They always like to find territories to make them a part of their country, but they don't like to return what they occupy from other people. So that was always hanging in Japan. What is your opinion on Jahar Dudayev? He is a hero, and I never realized how important he was. Basically, Jahar Dudayev, he didn't mean to, but he postponed a Russia attacking Ukraine all the way to 2014. If Chechnya wouldn't create problems for Russia, I believe Russia would be attacking Ukraine way earlier. And he predicted that Russia will come back for Crimea and Russia will come back to take back Ukraine. There is a video from 1995 that he was talking about that he was called Rusism. Now we're saying Russism, like fascism, Russism, but he was calling it Rusism. So anyway, thank you so much for joining. I apologize. It was kind of a little bit sad with my father passing away. So, but thanks so much for joining. It was a lot of people, a lot of fun. So I'll have a new videos coming up soon, and we'll talk to you soon too. До свидания. Goodbye.